Populations or pops could make or break your game. What is pops? What do you do with them? And why are they great? So already when you start your first save, when you pick a nation, one of the things that it gives you information about is your population. And population in this game is normally called pops. And they are divided in 4 different groups. You have citizens, you have freemen, you have tribesmen, and you have slaves. So each one of your cities have a amount of pops. These are the people that are living in your city. And all these 4 different types of pops have a different function in the game. The citizens give you research points and commerce. The freemen gives you manpower. The tribesmen gives you a little bit of tax and a little bit of manpower. And the slaves give you a lot of tax. Pops is also important when it comes to trade. For each 15 slaves you have, you will get an extra city surplus production from whatever that city is producing. So right now I would need 10 more slaves, and if I got 10 more slaves, this amount of wood would increase from 1 to 2, and we would have a surplus here of woods. The number of pops you have in a city also affects the amount of buildings you can build. As a baseline, the city can have 1 building, and then for each 10 pops, you will get another building. For example, right now, here in Rome, we have, in this city, 47 pops. And 47 pops means 4 buildings. If we reach 50, that would be 5 buildings. But we have the baseline 1 and then 4 extra. And the buildings affect pops in different ways. The marketplace will affect tax, which is of course very important for your slaves, because your slaves produce tax. The training camp give you extra manpower, which is important for your freemen, because freemen gives manpower. And then you have the granary that both increase population growth and it makes your slaves happy. Happiness affects pops. As you can tell from their production, you can see that their output is affected of how happy they are. We can find some less happy pops here in my country, I believe, by going over here. Compare this one that gets a output efficiency of 32.8% because they are not very happy, compared to these guys that are giving production of 80, 88%, 155%. So you really want to keep your pops happy. How do you affect population's happiness? Well, 2 baseline things is culture and religion. If they are the wrong culture or the wrong religion, they will be less happy. And right now I'm using the culture map mode, and you can tell that all this blue land is my culture. But over here, I have conquered some land from the Romans, and that is, they are on Roman culture. My pops here are a lot less happy compared to in my native land. You can even tell here that I have disloyal provinces because of the pops are unhappy. And if I click one of these guys, you can click the pop to get more information. But each pop have culture, they have religion, and they have happiness. And if the culture and the religion matches the one you have in your nation, so they are not like my Romans over here, for example, with the culture, they are usually pretty happy. But there are other things that can affect happiness, like aggressive expansion. And of course, it might vary from different types of pops. For example, if you check this one out, they are unhappy because of the wrong culture. And in this case also, I have quite a bit of aggressive expansion that makes them even more unhappy. And the same comes to religion. Right now, all my provinces is the right religion, so there's nothing I have to worry about. But it would have been exactly the same as with these guys, that they are unhappy because of the culture group. They would have been unhappy because of the religion. You can change this around by different ways. The cheapest way to do it is with your governor. There's different types of policies, and one of these policies is culture assimilation. That would change the culture over time to your culture. And you have the same thing from religion, that will change the religion over time to your religion. But if you are in a hurry, maybe you're having a real problem with the disloyal provinces and rebellions and so on, you can also use your power to pay to change them. So if you just click a pop here, for example, the slaves, you can change their religion, and you can change all the culture to the right one. But as you can tell, it's pretty costly, and you need to do it one by one. So if you have a city with a lot of pops, for example, my capital here, 107 slaves, And they come from different cultures. So if you're going to be doing a lot of assimilation or a lot of religious changes, it's probably going to cost you a lot, and you're going to run out of points to do that. But there are things that can affect the price and make it cheaper. So for example, right now, because of my ruler, he has corruption. His corruption level makes it more expensive to change it around. There are a lot of different things that affects happiness of pops, but to not make this video too long, I'm instead going to focus on growth of pops, and most of the things that are available for growth of pops will also have similar things that affects happiness of pops. So pops are really good for you, but how do we get more of them? As you can tell here, my slaves are currently growing, which means I'm getting more of them. But how can we affect this one? Well, there's a lot of different ways. First off, trade goods can give you population growth. All these ones that's a perfectly named growth will actually give you more population growth. There are laws that will increase population growth, and there are also laws that will affect their output. From religion, you have a blessing that will increase population growth natural-wise. It's a really strong one if you want more people. You also have buildings, and that's the granary. For each granary you will build, it will increase population growth, and that affects all the different types of pops. You can also get population growth from your national ideas. And there are ideas that will give it, and there are other ideas that will give happiness or increase production and increase your output. A quick way to get more pops is to go to war. Whenever you conquer provinces from your opponents during the war, there is a chance of you getting pops from that province. That's why, for example, I have so many pops in my capital here, because when I conquered provinces from other nations, some of their pops got sent back to my provinces as slaves. Of course, some of them are for normal growth, but if you look at the list here where they are from, you can tell that they are from a lot of different provinces. So pops have gotten sent here during war. Another thing that do affect your pops is your leader. And his popularity can affect them. If it's really low, it will have a negative effect on your pops. But it can also have traits that affects them. Right now my leader don't have any traits that affects the pops, but there are multiple traits available in game that affects them. It's not only your nation's leader that can affect pops, it's also traits that your governors may have. For example, this governor has the trait harsh, which affects slave output. And you can see quite a few traits if you just click the character view, and you can see all the traits different people in your nation have. Maybe you find somebody with a trait that makes you think, oh, he will be a perfect governor. There are a lot of ways to get pops, to get more growth, to get more happiness, to get more production. I don't think we need to go through like each and single one here. The main purpose of this video is that you're going to understand what pops is, and that there are things that can affect both growth, happiness, and output. So let's get over to a few completely different things you can do with pops. Pops can also be used to colonize city that no nation currently rule over. And you just have to click it and go to colonize. Unfortunately now, my nation actually can't colonize this one because of it's the wrong culture. So for you to be able to actually colonize it, they need to be of the same culture as your nation. I'm not 100% sure how the colonizing mechanic works, but according to the game's developers, as long as you have an adjacent city of at least 10 pops, you can send one of these pops into an uncolonized location, and this pop will claim it for their home country, and this will turn the uncolonized location into a city under your control, but it will not change the culture, religion, or type of the pre-existing pops. You can promote pops from different groups. So if you want to promote a slave, for example, you can go here and you can pay oratory power to promote him, and if you promote a slave, he will become a free man. If you promote a free man, he will become a citizen. So for example, if you're lacking manpower, it might be worth promoting slaves to free men to get more manpower. Or if you're falling behind on research, maybe you want to promote freemen to become citizen. You can also move pops by going to a pop and click the move button and pick a province. Now, why would you ever want to move pops, you may wonder? Well, right now here we have a city with 13 slaves. And looking at this tooltip, it says every 15 slave pops will provide an additional +1 wine. And that means if we can get 2 more slaves here, it will give us 1 extra wine. At the same time, we have these 3 slaves here that basically do nothing, because you are a lot of slaves away from getting extra grain. So we could move 2 of these slaves that's basically doing nothing but generating a small amount of tax over here to get a bonus surplus. So let's try to do that. So we click the slaves and we decide to move one of them. It costs a little bit of power cost, of course affected by different things, and we want to move them over here. So we pick the first option, and let's do it with one another, with one more. And now all of a sudden we have 15 slaves here, and we are getting more wine. Brilliant. And of course, it could be other reason to move pops, maybe to get another building. You get another building for each 10 pops. Everything we've gone through now has taught you the basic of pops in Imperator Rome. From this information, you're going to be able to understand pops and to have fun in game. But there are also a lot of min-maxing you can do with pops. For that, I actually have an upcoming video, and as soon as it's released, I will add links to it in the description and as an end card here. So if you want more in-depth information about pops, some special tricks and min-maxing, check that one out. Other than that, press that like button if you found this video helpful, it really helps me out. And if you aren't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel for a lot more of Imperator Rome content. Thank you so much for watching.